The new Zoom TKL has arrived, so we're going to build it, and we're going to go over everything you need to know about it, so let's go. So right off the bat, you have two versions. You've got the Essentials Edition and the Assembled Edition. So your Essentials Edition is your bare bones version, so you only get a keyboard without the switches and the keycaps, but you get everything else like the foam, the plates, and the battery. So with this version, there's a lot of variety because you get to choose between 10 different case colors, 12 different backplate colors, and 2 plates. There's also a third plate as well, but we'll talk about that later. As for the Assembled Edition, the contents that you get inside the box is pretty much the same, but your initial options are limited, but you do get some things in return. So instead of having 10 case color options and 12 backplate options, you actually get only 6 color options now, and the backplate is chosen by default. The Assembled Edition does come with switches, and depending on the switch that you get a different plate. So if you get the regular WS switches, you'll get a polycarbonate plate, and if you get the WS Swift switches, you'll get the aluminum plate. And all these switches have a nylon housing, a palm stem, and are factory looped. You also get a set of double-shot PBT keycaps included inside the box, and of course, all of this is fully assembled for you. But enough with all that information, let's start building. So this is the box that it comes in, and just like the Zoom 65, you get a nice carrying case. So all the pieces are packed into it, so let's start off with the accessories. You get a 7.5-inch braided coil cable, screw-in stabilizers, O-rings and dampeners, a bronze hex tool, case screws, plate standoffs, and I'm not sure what this is. Next, we get a full bag of pour-on foam. So we have foam to replace the metal weight and battery slot inside the keyboard, foam that goes underneath the PCB, plate foam, and PE foam to get your keyboard crack-lacking. You also get 2 extra strips of rubber for the bottom side. For the main compartment, you get your plate of choice, hot swappable PCB, and finally the case itself. So this is the Zoom TKL in the navy color. It's got a pretty standard look to it with some nice design choices such as having a specific portion for the F13 key, a beveled chin, and this keyboard gives you a 5% typing angle, which is pretty nice. The case is made out of aluminum, but instead of anodization, it's got a nano coating on it which makes it smooth, but not as smooth as anodized aluminum. It actually has a teensy amount of grit to it, but it smooths out as you handle the keyboard more. Now moving to the backside, we have the nicer portion of the keyboard with these 3 glossy surfaces. This is the gradient navy color, and let's hear that ASMR peel real quick. These pieces are really glossy and reflective and make the keyboard look really premium. You also have these 2 LED diffusers on the left and right of the keyboard for ambient lighting, and you've got the Usbc ports settled in the middle of the 2 pieces. Now let's open up the keyboard, and one thing I really like is that half the screws are hidden by the rubber strip on the bottom here, which is conveniently attached using the screw holes instead of the typical messy adhesive. The keyboard should come with black strips, but you can also replace them with the aforementioned white ones, with the top strip being an adhesive and the bottom one being easily detachable. Once the keyboard is open, there's more. You can actually replace the backplate, and it's accessible through the 4 screws on top and the middle screws recessed in the metal weight without having to unscrew it. Once you unscrew them all, you can just easily pop them out with the screwdriver. The pieces have 2 layers to them, so it's not just a glossy plate and it's quite durable. And if you want to get really fancy, you can even get the mirror gloss version, which looks absolutely insane and increases the premium look of the board. Now onto the actual building of this keyboard. One thing that's different is that you place the battery inside first, which is included in the box. As for battery life, this keyboard comes with a 2250 mAh battery, which isn't too big in the grand scheme of things, but considering that the fact that this keyboard is not full of RGB LEDs and only has LEDs on the sides, it's not too bad. And in a wireless setting, this keyboard is actually rated to go on for 3 months if you turn off all the LEDs with this battery, so that's not too bad. Now if you don't want to go wireless, you can actually replace these empty spots with the pour-on foam provided that we talked about before, and you can even completely remove the metal plates if you want to make the keyboard lighter. But that's enough for the case, let's move to the PCB. As you can see, this is a bare south-facing hot swappable PCB with 5-pin compatibility, with no RGB except for the function key and the sides for ambient lighting. You can also see there's flexibility for a stepped caps lock, double switch spots for the left shift, right shift, backspace key, and even a split spacebar configuration. And the next step will be putting on the PE foam for that classic marble noise. The PE foam comes standard with stabilizer dampeners, but if you don't use the PE foam, you can put in the stabilizer dampener adhesives instead. Next, we're going to be lubing the stabilizers. These are screw-in stabs and the stems are flat-footed, so we don't need to do any clipping here, and as usual we'll be using Krytox 205 grade 0 to get that smooth non-rattle action. I'll only be needing 4 sets of these because I'm doing the double right shift key. So when I was lubing these stabilizers, I didn't realize they were different from others until I was putting in the bar. Instead of the clamp being at the top, it's actually at the bottom, and I definitely had some trouble putting them in, even though they function exactly the same as a regular stabilizer. And after assembling all the stabilizers, I put them on top of the PE foam so I could get that dampening, although I don't really like the sound it makes. Then tighten them into the board with the O-rings provided. Also, if you're wondering what screwdriver I'm using, it's the Hodo Precision Screwdriver. It's wireless, charges through USB-C, and you can get 10% off with my code Romsicle, and it's actually a great kit that I use for everything now. Anyways, after a quick rattle test with all the stabs, we are ready to move on to putting in the plate foam. You also have the option of putting standoffs for your plates. Each plate comes with a bag of these standoffs and screws, but for me, for polycarbonate builds, I tend to not use any of these standoffs. As for plate options, I mentioned this before, there's 2 plus 1. So the 2 is a polycarbonate plate, which is nice and flexible, and aluminum, which is nice and light and sturdy. So these are the 2 official plates that you can choose from for this keyboard, and the third option is actually FR4. They sent this over to me, and I'm not too sure if it's going to be part of the official lineup of the plates that you can choose from, but I'm going to add it into the sound test anyways. And for this particular build, I'm going to be going for the polycarbonate build because I want a lot of foam into it, because it's recommended that if you use the polycarbonate plates, you're going to put in all the pour-on dampeners, but if you use the aluminum plates, you don't use any dampeners at all. So let's see how those 2 configurations go. There's also a bag of supercritical foam sleeves that act as a gasket mount for this keyboard, but if you don't like a lot of flex, you can definitely leave this out. But they're nice and squishy and go over the protruding portions of the plate that rest in between the top and bottom case. And all the plates are compatible with the supercritical foam, so you can use it regardless of the recommendations. This next part is by far the most difficult because you have to put in the PCB foam, line it up, then connect the battery and the JST connector to the PCB, then lay it all down and make sure that nothing is overlapping each other and that things are still aligned. And after that, it's smooth sailings because we're just putting in the switches. And the switches we are using here are the Glorious Link switches, which I've made a review on, so check that out. These switches are especially nice if you lube them properly, so using the unlubed versions and lubing them with Krytox 205 grade 0 for example, it sounds really nice. And after all the switches are in, we're ready to close up the keyboard. It's looking pretty clean so far, and the last thing we need to do is put in some keycaps. And the keycaps that are going to best fit this keyboard are the GMK Dots 2. The design is simple, it's clean, and the base color matches the navy color perfectly. As you all know, I'm a touch typist, so I don't need to look at the keycaps to know which keys I'm pressing, and the GMK Dots 2 is the ultimate flex for anyone who is a touch typist. And there you have it, the completed build of the Zoom TKL with Glorious Link switches and GMK Dots 2. So now let's listen to the sound test. And just like the GMMK Pro, I'm going to be doing a super sound test compilation featuring these 3 plates right here with a bunch of different switches, so you guys can hear what each switch sounds like on each different material and see which one sounds best for you if you plan on buying this keyboard. This video is going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, so please like it when it's up. It's going to be released up here, or just check my channel out. It's going to be pretty damn long. And of course, as always, it's going to consist of 100% accuracy typing tests. One thing that's nice is that the ambient lighting isn't just on the underside, but it's also visible through the top, and there's quite a few different effects with the option to change colors through shortcuts. As for Bluetooth connectivity, the same format applies where function and Z, X, and C can be connected to 3 separate devices, while function N gives you N key rollover. And with VIA compatibility, remapping, changing lighting effects, and creating macros is super simple, and it gets updated instantly, so you cannot ask for more in terms of freedom of customization in a keyboard, and that's just great. As for pricing, there's actually a lot of information, so let's start off with the Essentials Edition. The Essentials Edition has a base price of $179 US and is by group buy only. and this group buy is going to be going from November 15th to November 29th, and the estimated delivery is supposedly January 2023, but let's just say 2023 Q1 to be safe. As for the assembled version, it's going to be launching on Kickstarter from mid-November to mid-December, so it's just going to be for 1 month. And the pricing is going to depend on the Switch that you choose. So if you get the regular WS Switch, it's going to cost you $199 during the Kickstarter and $229 after the Kickstarter. But if you choose the WS Swift Switch, which is slightly better due to having shorter travel distances, it's going to cost you $205 during the Kickstarter and $235 after the Kickstarter. So if you plan on getting the assembled version, I would definitely suggest getting it during the Kickstarter so you can save those $30. Overall, this is definitely one of the more flexible keyboards that I've built so far. In terms of choosing your case color, your backplate color, and plates, it's definitely nice to have a lot of variety just to make things a little more unique to yourself. You've got wireless connectivity, easy remapping with VIA, and the TKL is a very versatile form factor. I also just love the fact that the supercritical foam can just be removed, so your keyboard doesn't have to be a gasket mount keyboard if you don't want to, giving yourself more variety in finding the typing sound that fits you the best. Because that's always encouraged when it comes to buying a high-end keyboard, and this keyboard definitely does the job. Links to the group buy and the Kickstarter will be in the description down below once they have launched, but let me know your thoughts and comments about the Zoom TKL. Do you think it's worth it? Is the quality good enough? Do you think it's well priced, too expensive, really cheap? Let me know in the comments down below. Super sound test compilation video coming up soon, but until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later. Peace.